Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to Coach's Corner East live from the Pizza Hut in Galion here on this Wednesday, the 1st of December. Time to turn your calendars to the last month of the year. Glad to have you aboard this Wednesday evening. Show's brought to you in part by Don Barr and Associates at the Galion Building and Loan Bank, Matt Studer at Spitzer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Kia 1 mile east of the Richland Mall, Mark Osborne and Associates at E-Crane International serving worldwide markets from the Galion Industrial Park. And tonight, coming up a little later on the show, it'll be Joe Borders and the girls bowlers from Crestline High School. We had them on the boys' side a few weeks ago and back with the girls this evening. It'll be Coach Kyle Fenner and the girls basketball team from Colonel Crawford High School. Prior to that, and to kick us off tonight, it's going to be the Galion girls basketball program with Coach Shani Rush and some of her players. Show is brought to you in part by Steve and Chuck Keller at Keller Auto Parts, your Napa dealer, Uptown, Galion, and Crestline. Marie Mounts at the Platinum Insurance Agency, your Progressive Agent, 131 Harding Way East, Uptown, Galion. And Joe Kleiman Associates at the Galion office of First Federal Bank of Ohio. And to the microphone, we welcome head girls basketball coach at Galion High School. It's Coach Shani Rush. And, you know, every time I've met every coach this year for the first time, it's like, wow, 2 years ago we did this in person, and last year we had to do it on the phone. It's good to see you back again.
Nice to see you too.
And basketball season has tipped off, ready to go, and kind of a quick review of last year. Not the most successful season that you would want. 3-20 overall, 0-12 in the MOAC, and lost to a really talented Bellevue team in the sectional tournament. Natalie Perkins, who's right across from me, second team MOAC, Lexi Rush, also sitting across from me, honorable mention MOAC. And Natalie led the MOAC in rebounding with just under 10 rebounds a game and second in block shots with 1.3 blocks per game. And both of them are back, kind of, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, especially with Lexi. But this year, as you've gone and started the season, a couple games under your belt, how many seniors on the team this year?
Six? Seven?
Yeah, it's six.
Seven
Well,
seniors, okay.
yeah.
So, and some with more experience than others, probably over the last couple of years. What have you seen as far as the strength in the team? Because you're 1-1 after 2 games, and we'll talk about those games specifically, but what have you seen as far as strength of the team?
Well, I mean, with our 4 of the 5 starters are varsity letter players, so that's good. It's just, you know, our numbers are low this year, so our bench is pretty thin. But, I mean, our starting 5 is pretty solid.
Now, I understand no JV team this year?
No JV team.
Okay, so in those situations when you're dealing with the other schools, you just start your regular game at 6:30 or
6:30.
6:30. You're
Yeah.
just doing that, and okay, all right. And I'm sure that as a coach, that's not what you want, because you want to develop players at that and be able to play at the JV speed, so to speak. So that's difficult, but what do you do to combat that? I mean, you don't have a freshman squad either, because if you don't have JVs, you probably don't have freshmen, right?
Right. Yeah, we have some girls that probably would have some JV time, but, you know, they're not going to get that this year. Practice-wise, it's been difficult at times, but we have some boys that come in that come in and scrimmage us, and that's really helped.
And then from a junior high level, what kind of numbers do you have down there to prepare you for the future?
8th grade we have 7, and then 7th grade I think we have like 14.
Okay.
And our youth numbers after that, 3rd through 6th, we have around 50 kids.
Good. So there's
Youth
some
numbers are solid.
Good. There's some numbers coming. So despite the lack of numbers and things like that, what are some other areas that you look to improve as the year goes on and have a better record than last year?
Just being able to finish games, coming into the games. I thought we let one slip away against Mount Gilead the other day. I thought that was a game we should have won. We just didn't perform the way we needed to, like we did against Crestline. But, you know, the season's early, and we have some other games coming up that, you know, we hope to capitalize on.
Yeah. And talking about your games, you opened the season against Crestline, defeated them 45-29, a comment that you had made in the Galion Inquirer. I think they learned to trust each other. They were sharing the ball nicely, and that's something that you really didn't have so much last year, right?
Right.
And is that just through maturity, or is that coaching? You need to give yourself a pat on the back and say, that's just great coaching. I'm doing a great job of telling them what to do.
No, I'm not going to take any credit for that. I just think that they, are trusting, like Emma has been having some good games, and, they're trusting her with the ball, getting her the ball. She's getting some rebounds, so she's definitely filling in some roles that we need.
You were leading 24-13 at half, so you had a nice lead there at halftime, and went on to say, I think our defense stepped up with Desi Lester and Cameron Eckert. What did they do in particular that you really liked on the defensive end of the floor?
Yeah, Desi's our defensive stopper, and Cam's really come on. She's a freshman, and I put her on one of the other girls that Crestline has, and I just said, don't let them touch the ball, because, really those were the two girls that were scoring. So they did a nice job shutting them down.
Just flat out ball denial. And
ball denial.
Very good. Natalie Perkins, double-double, 22 points. She was four from the, I didn't have the number down, from three-point line. You did hit some threes, right? Okay, and 11 rebounds despite a nagging shoulder injury. Emma Jutz, senior, is here, and 8 points and 6 rebounds. Tiana Grader, 8 points. Freshman Cameron Eckert, 7 points. So some nice, well-rounded scoring. And then Mount Gilead, the final score, 26-18, kind of looks like a halftime score in most games. What kind of happened there?
We just couldn't find the bucket. And the thing is, we were still in the game. And I said, fourth quarter, I was like, hey, we're only down, 3 possessions, guys. We can still win this game, and we were playing pretty bad.
Well, I have to take a quote from Telegraph Forum from Blade Tackett of Northmore, who scored, one basket in the second half last night. He said, when you don't put the orange ball in the orange ring, you don't score a lot of points. So, and that was kind of the same thing.
Yeah, we just could not find the basket. And, we can't have that. Natalie, she had 0 points. So, I told her she can't have that. She's got to be able to find the basket and score it. So, she will.
Yeah, you mentioned it just wasn't clicking tonight. Natalie Perkins scores 0 points and Tiana scores 3, and that's difficult. But Cameron Eckert did lead you with 8 points, and Emma was 6 points, 6 rebounds. But you got out rebounded 30-23, and that hurts, especially at the offensive end. You don't get those other opportunities.
Right, they were getting second shots, third shots, and we had quite a bit of turnovers, which we weren't able to get the offensive board when we shot it because we're turning it over. So,
sure.
That game was just pretty ugly.
Yeah, you want to file that one away and move on. All right, we won't talk about that one anymore. We're going to take a break here, and then we're talking to the young ladies around the table. Our show is brought to you in part by the Burkhart family at the Burkhart Farm Center, your Case IH dealer, straight west of Galion on the Manette-Winchester Road. Mike Kleinite at Ag Credit Residential Lending, Bucyrus, Mount Gilead, and Marion, and sweet baby Ray Jones, Davy's little brother at Ohio Door and Sash, 120 South Street in Galion. First up, sophomore Lexi Rush. Oh yeah, you're talking. Yeah, absolutely. Just because you're not playing doesn't mean you get out of talking, Lexi. How have you been?
I've been good.
Good. And unfortunately, you can't get on the floor because something happened this summer, and you tore an ACL, correct?
Yeah.
And was that during
The first
like
summer.
an open gym?
First summer 3-on-3.
Wow, first one. When it happened, did you know, I'm in trouble?
Yeah, I knew there was something wrong when I first did it. I was hoping there wasn't, though. And then after a little while, I found out. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, what was that emotion that came over you? I mean, you're just a sophomore. You had a great freshman year. Your honorable mention in the MOAC, and basically your sophomore season's taken away from you.
Yeah, it was just disappointing because I really, I want to get back and I want to play. And when I can't really do anything, it's hard.
Did you have surgery on it?
Yes.
Okay, so surgery's done, but this season is a wash.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. Okay. Well, at least you're on the healing end of it and not having to deal with it. Is there pain now with it, or?
Not really.
Nothing. Okay. So the interesting concept that I think about is, as your mom being the coach, and you're on the sideline and you're watching these girls, wishing you could play, but you can't. Have you started to get the juices going a little bit that, hey, maybe I kind of like this coaching gig, and maybe that's something I'd like to do? Learning from your mom that played at the collegiate level, now coaching, has that started that process a little bit? Because let's face it, as believers, we know things happen for reasons, and they kind of set the groundwork for things in the future.
Yeah, it's been part of my life since day one, pretty much.
Right.
I've always been around it. And, I mean, the more I sit and I watch, the more I learn, I think. and that can only help me.
So as you're sitting there watching and you see things on the floor that your teammates are doing, do you talk to them during the timeout, say, hey, you really need to be doing this, or look for here, or look backside, or whatever?
Yeah, and I mostly just encouragement because that can go a long way, especially if a player's not doing good, and that's what I try to be there for.
Yeah, very good. Well, sorry that you're not going to get this year, but thank you for stepping up and doing what you have to do, being part of it still, and we'll get you healed up and get ready to go next year for sure. Thanks for coming. Natalie Perkins, senior, is here, and it's good to see you in person again after all those phone calls last year and trying to get through and things like that. And boy, you start the season off nice as a senior with a double-double, and then, as Coach said, you couldn't throw it in the ocean if you were standing next to it in the Mount Gilead game. But I want to talk to you, because I had read, and it's already been brought up, about this nagging shoulder injury.
Yeah.
And this was something from last year.
Yes.
And it hasn't gone away. What is it that you're dealing with?
So last year, I think it was January, like mid-season, I dislocated my shoulder during practice. We were playing 5-on-5. It was actually my idea. And then, and then it just dislocated. So last year I went to like the orthopedic center, and I had to sit out for like 2.5 weeks. Fortunately, like COVID was going on, and we got Pleasant got quarantined, so I only missed one game against Harding, and I got to come back, and I played better after for some reason. But this year, it was our second scrimmage, I think. It popped out again.
Ugh.
So, yeah. But I think it came back, like I was able to come back after just a week. So I was able to come back for the first game. And it wasn't as bad. I know exactly what happened. So I wasn't wearing the straps on my brace.
Yeah.
So now I just know better.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, has it really taken away from your aggression at all, or when you're out there, instinct just kind of kicks in and you just play and you don't really think about it that much?
Yeah, I just play. I don't really think about it. Sometimes it tweaks. That freaks me out for like one play, but then I just go back at it. It doesn't. I just forget about it.
Still in there, so
Yeah,
I guess I'm okay.
yeah.
So your senior season, you had such a nice year last year, second team MOAC. What are some things as a senior you want to accomplish this year?
I'm looking for first team, and then I want to lead in rebounds and blocks. And then I want to be up on top 5 for scoring.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good.
And I want us to finally win an MOAC game.
Yeah, that would be very, very nice. Well, continued blessings and success, and I'm sure we'll be talking throughout the year. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
You bet. Next up, we have Desi Lester here, and I'm sorry, I switched the numbers around. Emma Jutz is here. I apologize. And you're a senior as well, so appreciate you coming out. And we're not gonna talk about the Mount Gilead game. We're gonna focus on Crestline and that first game out, because we're just scrapping that one. How did you feel physically and emotionally your senior year, going out there, you get a win to start the season? How much does that kind of catapult you moving forward, aside from what happened at Mount Gilead?
Well, I thought I did really well because I'm scoring a lot more points this year than I have in the previous years. And I feel like my team's trusting me with the ball more and giving me the ball more, and I'm able to score. And I just like that we got the win. It's a good way to start the season. I hope we can get more wins in the future.
Sure.
And carry that on.
Yeah, well, that's something, when you start commanding the ball and wanting the ball rather than, I don't want any part of this, you become a little more aggressive, and confidence has to build from that. So kind of the same question that I had for Natalie there, as a senior and leading this team, even though you have 6 or 7 seniors, whatever it might be, what do you want to get accomplished for you personally, but as a team as well?
Well, I want to start scoring at least 10, 12 points a game by the end of the season. I want our team to get some MOAC wins and maybe even win the MOAC if we work hard enough. And I want to get a lot of rebounds this year as well.
Good for you. Good. That's great goals to have. So I appreciate you coming out. Continued success to you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And finally, we're back to you, Desi Lester. Sorry about that. I had the numbers all screwed up. Desi is a junior, and it's good to have you here tonight. And Coach talked about your defensive shutdown specialist. Do you like that role?
Yeah, I'm not much of a scorer at all, really. I don't know. I like being on the court, defending every play. It's just my thing. I'm the smallest, so I don't really.
That's okay, though. I mean, everybody's got a role and a part that they have to play. When you were lack of better term, dogging the girl at Crestline. We're not going to ask who it is. I can guess who it might be. But when you were doing that, could you sense some annoyance with her that she was really getting frustrated and couldn't get open and couldn't get her hands on the ball?
Yeah, at first she kind of thought it was funny. Like, I know the girl personally, so I actually played with her a couple years ago when I played for Crestline, but she was, all nice and everything at first, and we had some laughs, but by the end of the game, she was not very happy with me. Wanted nothing to do with me, even when I accidentally knocked her over and pushed her on the floor. But she wanted nothing to do with me, didn't even want my help up, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of the game, and that's what you do. So you like this role of having to be called on to shut somebody down, and there's a lot of good girl players in the MOAC. We know about them. You're going to have to come in, night out, and do that. Are you prepared for that mentally and physically to be able to do that?
Yeah, working on it.
And then chip in where you have to, scoring-wise.
Right.
Yeah, very good. Well, stay healthy. I love that defensive tenacity. Keep that up, and just have a successful season. I'm sure sometime down the road we'll talk later this year. Appreciate you coming out. Take another break here before we finish up with Coach. Our show is brought to you in part by Lee Plymouth and Brad Seibert at the Plymouth Insurance Group, Galion and Bucyrus. North Central State College, Mansfield, and the Crawford Success Center, North Walnut Street across from the courthouse in Bucyrus. Phil and Sue Schreck at Phil's Deli, just east of Pizza Hut at the bridge in Galion. And back to Coach Shani Rush here of the Galion Lady Tigers. And Coach, looking at the MOAC, I mean, I think it probably, we're not fooling anybody. It starts with Shelby, and they have a really nice team coming back. They're down 15 to really good Margaretta team the other night, come back and win that thing. I saw some highlights from that. They had a freshman that hit a big three, and Coach over there just seems to continue to have really good players. River Valley, I suspect, is probably good. Who else in the MOAC do you see is really talented?
Definitely those two are going to probably battle for the lead. And then I'm going to have to say Harding will be up there, and Clearport's going to surprise some people. They have lots of numbers are quick. Biggest throwing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's 6'3", 6'4".
Is that right?
Yeah. So she's hard to stop. So I think they'll surprise some people.
And they got Harding coming in as a league team this year, right? Or Highland, excuse me. Highland coming in as, what do you know about them?
We played in the past. They're down this year. They lost a lot. They still have a good push in their back. So they'll probably finish, I would say, bottom half.
Okay, all right. Speaking of Marion Harding, you got them coming up tomorrow. You're going to be home to them, and you've watched film on them, I assume. What's your biggest concern about them?
They lost their stud last year, so that's kind of good. But they have Justice Diamond Ross, who's their kid post player. She can go out, shoot a three. She's really improved from last year. So we're going to need to really keep an eye on her. And they're athletic, they're quick, and we're going to try to get to the basket.
And then you got Clear Fork. You had mentioned them. You're on the road with them on Saturday. You come back next Tuesday, you're at Plymouth, a Firelands Conference team, and then you got Shelby a week from Friday at home. So busy schedule. Hopefully COVID won't kick in and do weird stuff to us this year. You don't want that all over again, for sure. And I looked at some other non-league games. You got Mohawk on the schedule, Northmore, Temple Christian, a team that beat Crestline last night, and then Bucyrus, who has fallen in their first game. So some opportunities there to do some good things. And health is probably the biggest thing, right? Because of lack of depth, you're going to need to stay healthy.
Yes, we need to stay healthy all the way around. And we're just going to have to tough it out. We were joking the other day, we really not in 5. So, and there's truth to that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when one faces adversity, that's when you find someone's mettle and find out their true character. And I believe just by talking to all your girls that they'll be able to answer the call.
Yeah, we're just gonna make it the best season we can.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do. What do you know about the AU Eagles? How the Lady Eagles going to be this year?
They're doing pretty well right now.
Yeah.
I saw they're ranked 11th.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, hoping to catch a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you try to get back to a few?
Yeah, I usually go back to one a year.
Good. Well, thanks for coming out tonight. Good luck tomorrow night, and we'll talk somewhere down the road then.
All right, sounds great.
We're going to take a break. It'll be Kyle Fenner and the girls basketball team from Colonel Crawford coming up right after this timeout.